the other topics, fair game as well. Everything from the Mississippi flag controversy to the presidential race. Been talking about immigration and what's going on in the University of Alabama. A video there pulled down because of some concerns. So all those issues, fair game. And you can join us at 504-556-9696. Now visiting with us, as he does on Tuesdays, our Ringside All-Star who joins us, Steve Sabludowsky, publisher of Bayoubuzz.com. And Steve, welcome aboard. Good morning.
Good morning, Jeff. And how are you?
Hey, doing great. Thanks, Steve, for being with us. And I don't know if you heard our discussion with Gary Mason about what happened at City Hall. I don't know if you had a chance to go to the City Council chambers for those meetings last week. But Gary seemed to indicate that the commission members really went into the meetings with a closed mind, and they didn't really go in there to listen to the public.
Well, I can't really comment. I wasn't there. That's his opinion, and so it could be the case. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Also, they've gotten estimates of over $1 million to remove them. Reverend Brown saying, "Hey, we've got other priorities in the city of New Orleans that should take precedence over monument removal." What are your thoughts?
Well, as I mentioned before, I mean, I don't think it's a wise decision. But it's their decision, this city of New Orleans. And so, I agree that there's other things that we should be focused on rather than that. But, look, I'm really not the person who's really impacted by this. Number one, I'm not African-American. I don't have the feeling, the sentiments, the anger. And, certainly if there was a statue of Hitler, then I would certainly have different feelings. So, I don't think it's a wise thing. I think it's a waste of time. But, it's their city in terms of the people who vote and the people who live there. And their decision should be their decision.
What do you make of the potential of the state to get involved? Bobby Jindal has talked about maybe trying to step in to prevent the city from removing them.
Well, that's exactly what I was referring to in terms of it's their decision. How can you claim to be in favor of allowing local government local government does things best when you try to intrude upon a local government decision. I mean, as much as, he and I may disagree with what the city might be doing, for whatever reason they want to do it. I mean, for, him to just step in and just say, hey, look, I think that, this is politically wise, and so therefore, let's see what we can do to stop it. I mean, that's just hypocritical. I'm sorry. I mean, it's hypocritical.
What if the monuments are on the historic register of, landmarks, if it's viewed as being, historically significant? Isn't there a role for the federal government to step in? I think that's what was done before when they tried to take the Liberty Monument down.
Yeah. I don't know the history about the Liberty Monument, and like I said, I personally find the monument offensive. I personally believe that there should be a plaque representing what the historical meaning is for all of these monuments, because I think there's part history, and I think it's part. The way I envision it is this particular symbol, is it meant to be offensive? Is it meant to be in your face? Is it meant to be something that you're sending a message to a group of people or person that hey, basically like putting the finger out, which is what I thought I saw and read with the people with the Confederate flags in Oklahoma. But this is different. The that's not what Robert E. Lee's doing. Who knows what the Confederate with his arm, president of the Confederate with his arm sticking out, who knows what he was doing? Not Beauregard.
Jefferson Davis.
Jefferson Davis. I mean, but certainly the Liberty Monument, I think that was a little bit different. I think that was definitely an in-your-face type of.
Do you think it's fair game to criticize Mayor Landrieu for all of his focus on this when we obviously have severe problems in the city? When since the time this thing has been brought up, we've had dozens of murders. And with the murder rate 38% above last year, rapes up 61%. Do you think that's fair game for folks to be able to say, hey, what in the world? We're having, all day meetings. We've had several different sessions now on this issue, city council session, a retreat, now 2 commission meetings all day when there's not similar sessions, forums, retreats on crime. I mean, to me, it seems to be pretty ridiculous. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, we've had retreats on crime, under the Nagin administration. I don't remember in terms of the Landrieu administration. Again, I think it's fair game to criticize anything the mayor does or the governor does that's out there in the public. I think it's fair game. This certainly is something that's fair game. But to say that, we've talked about this before, can you chew gum and talk and walk at the same time? Yeah, of course you can, and the mayor can do that. And well,
sure. He's chewing gum, but he's not walking. I mean, if he was holding similar forums on crime, I'd say, all right, well, you're dealing with both. If you're holding workshops and summits, and tell me where he has, and I'd like to go and speak out against it, because I know a lot of people that were victims of crime. Work with crime fighters, work with folks who have been suffering because of the crime. So, I mean, I'd like to participate in those kinds of events. I haven't heard about them. So, well, Jeff, I mean, he's not walking and chewing gum at the same time because he's not holding any similar events on the crime issue, to my knowledge.
Well, what I'd like to see, and I understand what you're saying, and I'm not going to argue with you about that. And you can go to city council meeting anytime you want, anytime there's a hearing, and obviously crime issues come up all the time. But what I'd like to do is, personally, if they're going to have any kind of summit given with governor's race and all, I think that because since Vitter and obviously others are stepping in on this issue, I think the state does have a role. State government does have a role. And to all of a sudden say, hey, we ought to focus on crime rather than the statues. Okay, well, fine, that's great. So how much money are you going to spend on crime, on mental health, on those issues? How much time are you going to focus on those issues? Those are real issues. And so if you want to talk about it, let's talk about it. So I think that it's a double-edged sword.
Well, I hosted a debate among the candidates on crime
on the North Shore. On the North Shore. Now, how about hosting a debate in the inner city?
I'd be glad to. I mean, if I was invited to moderate, I mean, I go where I'm invited. I mean, that's where I was invited to moderate the debate.
No, I'm not. Like,
I'd go.
What I'm saying is that I think it's a different conversation, and I think the candidates would have a different conversation about those issues. When you're talking about crime, you must also talk about mental health, and you also must talk about those issues and just in terms of health, Medicaid expansion and things of those issues. They're all integrated.
But you know what, Steve? Yeah. I think in the inner city, it's an even better place because that's where the victims are. That's where people that have been affected by this directly. And I think there'd be a lot of folks saying, yeah, we need to fight it. We need a governor to work with us on fighting crime. So, I mean, I hope there is such a forum. I know I would certainly we're definitely interested in participating. All right, let's squeeze in a few quick calls before the end of this segment, Steve. 504-556-9696. Let's check in with Bob, who joins us in Metairie. Hey, Bob, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning, Jeff. How you doing?
All right, Bob.
Listen, James emphasizes move the monuments, not tear them down. Move them. That's what he emphasized. Where would he move them? What would be the difference to move them or keep them there? You're going to move P.T. Beauregard, Reagan, he's in. Will you move him all to City Park? Well, he's there already.
Right.
I mean, come on, James. Jeff Davis is on a big playground. Jefferson Davis out there. I played as a kid, played baseball out there.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a playground or a park.
Right.
Lee Sake was like a park. I mean, where would he move? What the hell's the difference of moving or keeping where they at?
I don't think there's an exact location. People are talking about moving it to some sort of a place in City Park where there'd be sort of a statue area in City Park. So as you say, yeah, Beauregard's there already. I mean, so
exactly. I mean,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Why spend a couple of $1 million to move them and you're still going to have them?
Right.
Where are they at?
Why spend a couple of $1 million when we don't have the money for police, fire, streets, or all the other necessities in the city?
Well, maybe move them to Lakeview. Maybe if they move them to Lakeview, they'd have to fix the streets up so we could go see them.
Right.
Okay.
I'll tell you that. You're right about that, my friend. Because, again, I've lost 4 tires trying to live out there, trying to transport folks around Lakeview. It is not easy. All right, 504-556-9696. Our friend Sid checking in from Gentilly. How you doing, Mr. Sid? Good morning.
Hey, getting to Lee Circle. This is what I like to have done. I can kill 3 birds with 2 stones. Now, we can't move Lee. We don't have the money, and we can't leave them there. Now, this was plenty of Italians came up in this city and that, and there's no Italian statues of nobody. Nobody in the other guy's Italian plaza. They got the Louis Armstrong Airport, the Michaela Tatalia Jackson Theater, and that. We don't have nothing named after Italian. That's what I suggest they do with the Lee Monument. I believe he's wearing a hat. Take the hat off of Lee and put a trumpet in his hand and call it the Louis Prima Circle. Thank you.
All right. All right. The Louis Prima Circle. There you go. That's our friend Sid. All right. Next joining us, our contributor checking in from Atlanta. It's the Flaming Liberal with us. Good morning, Flaming Liberal. What you got to say this morning?
Good morning, Jeff and Steve. A couple of quick points, very important, Jeff. And I'd like to call back when Lowell Ponte's on discussing Social Security, but I won't have time later. Social Security can be explained very simply why there's a problem. When President Reagan was in office, and I'll praise Reagan for doing this, you heard correctly, I praise Reagan. He appointed the Greenspan Commission to study the Social Security problem. The Greenspan Commission recommended raising the payroll tax, and that money be saved and set aside for the baby boomers. Well, George W. Bush came along and promised in the 2000 campaign not to touch the Social Security surplus, which was running huge surpluses thanks to the Reagan tax increase. And Bush used that money to fight unfunded wars, to pass unfunded, irresponsible tax cuts that didn't grow the economy or create jobs, and to fund an unfunded prescription drug program for Medicare. Now, in all fairness, now that's why Social Security has a problem, because the baby boomers are retiring now, and the government has to pay that money back that was borrowed from the Social Security trust fund. And there's only 3 ways the government can do it: cut spending, raise taxes, or borrow the money. Now, that's one reason the deficits will go up in the next few years, because the government's going to have to likely borrow the money to pay the Social Security trust fund back. And in my opinion, I would raise taxes, raise the ceiling on Social Security withholding for the wealthy, since they benefited.
Do you favor means testing Social Security recipients?
No, I'm not in favor of doing what Christie's proposing. I favor raising the ceiling on earnings, because I don't want to turn Social Security into an entitlement or a welfare program. And secondly, Jeff, real quick, if I may, in 2004, the Bush campaign purchased campaign T-shirts from Burma, which was illegal contraband, because Bush himself signed, and I could prove this. I have an article from the New York Daily News. Bush himself, as president, signed a bill banning imports from Burma. On the other hand, Senator Kerry had his campaign T-shirts made with union labor in America. Now, Donald Trump is has a clothing line, an apparel line made in China. If Donald Trump really hates China sucking our blood, as he claims, and he's donating a lot of blood to China so they could suck our blood, why didn't Trump make his apparel line in America with union labor if he wants to create jobs and make America strong again, Jeff? And one more quick point, Jeff, before you cut me off yesterday, and since there's a rule on this program about talking about children of politicians, I wanted to say, why did you accuse Chelsea's baby of being a political baby? Charlotte is an innocent little child, and you brought her into the debate, did you not?
Oh, my goodness. Flaming liberal. All right. We'll address some of that when we come back. Flaming liberal bringing up the kids of David Vitter that I said should be off limits. All right. Steve Sabludowsky with us. Jeff Crouere here. 504-556-9696. We'll be back.
This is Michael Savage. Join me in the Savage Nation, weeknights, 9 p.m. to midnight, right here on 990 AM WGSO in New Orleans. Give me 15 minutes and I'll give you the real America.
Savage. This is the Blaze Radio News. I'm Chris Barnes.
Tradition doesn't mean it's right. I'm saying. It doesn't mean it's right.
As Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump speaks more and more in detail on his immigration policy, his campaign manager, Corey Lewandowski, is also speaking about it, telling CNN of Trump's proposal to change the Constitution to reverse the citizenship guaranteed to kids of anyone born in the United States.
2 to 1, people agree that coming over here and having what they call anchor babies is not fair. That's the key here. You're illegal in the first place, and you decide to have a child here. You've done something against the laws of our country to begin with.
The State Department saying investigators combing through Hillary Clinton's emails during her time as Secretary of State, finding as many as 305 messages so far that could contain classified information. And State Department spokesman John Kirby says the number will likely go higher as they're just starting this review.
Where that's going to end up when all 33,000 emails are reviewed, I couldn't begin to predict.
This is news on the Blaze Radio Network.
Everyone is making the switch to the Blaze to make it their source for the truth. Why not make it your source for the truth? Make theblaze.com your homepage for news that the other outlets won't even touch. Subscribe to The Blaze TV at theblaze.com/TV or on Dish Network and get access to original programming like For the Record, the show that exposes what's really going on that the government doesn't want you to know. And Real News, the daily conversation on the topics of the day that matter most. Check out the Blaze Radio Network at theblaze.com/radio with original shows like Buck Sexton, The Morning Blaze with Doc Thompson, Pat and Stu, and Jay Severin. Or if you need something to hold in your hands, subscribe to the Blaze magazine. So basically, anywhere you need to go, you can take the truth with you by taking the Blaze with you. This is the Blaze. Truth lives here. So just to recap, anywhere you need to go, you can take the truth with you by taking the Blaze with you. Find out all the ways at theblaze.com.
While Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump was off the campaign trail, many of his rivals were campaigning against him.
I have satisfied my commitment.
That's Trump leaving a New York courthouse after he went for jury duty but wasn't picked to serve on a panel.
So you're ready to come back tomorrow, right? I'm ready to come back in 6 years. I think they say in 6 years.
While Trump is stuck in the courtroom, fellow candidate Republican Lindsey Graham said Trump is simply not dealing in reality when it comes to some of his proposals.
He is not embracing a rational solution to destroying ISIL. He's talking gibberish on foreign policy.
And Graham calling Trump's opinions on what to do with Iraq ridiculous.
This idea of invading Iraq and taking their oil is literally insane. When somebody running for president would suggest that an American military force would come into their country, take their oil away from them, you're making it very dangerous for those who serve over there right now.
Meanwhile, while speaking at a national security event in South Carolina, Republican presidential candidate Jeb Bush slammed some of Donald Trump's ideas on immigration policy.
Mr. Trump now has a plan, if that's what it's called, but I think that the better approach is to deal with the 11 million people here illegally in a way that is realistic and to have border security that is done in the right way to lessen the number of people crossing our border.
Lawyers for the convicted Boston Marathon terrorist bomber saying Johar Tsarnaev deserves a new trial outside the Boston area. Tsarnaev currently facing the death penalty. They say in a court filing, though, it wasn't possible to select an impartial jury in the Boston area because of widespread terrorist attack, which leaves 3 dead and dozens of others wounded. And Emma Didlake of Michigan, who was believed to be the nation's oldest veteran, has died at 100.
All right. So great first few hours of the program. Got a busy 10 o'clock hour coming your way. Hey, it's our last few days of the Blue Bayou Dixie Landing giveaway, so we'll be giving away a 4-pack of tickets. Lowell Ponte going to be joining us later, talking about Social Security. Right now, Steve Sabludowsky checking in. Our Ringside All-Star who joins us on Tuesdays, publisher of BayouBuzz.com. And Steve, welcome back, sir.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it.
I thought we could segue a little bit. I want to keep these topics on the table, but a little bit into the governor's race. Our friend, the Flaming Liberal, talking about David Vitter's kids. I say that should be off limits. I think we should focus on the candidates, focus on the positions, where they stand. Any thoughts on where the race stands right now?
It depends on the poll. I mean, I still think that David Vitter's in the driver's seat, and I think he'll continue to be so. Although, obviously, we discussed the other poll from Vernon Kennedy last week, and but I think that anytime you have $9 million in the bank, and in his case, it's with his own state campaign as well as the his super PAC, which I really just have some real serious problems with. But I have more problems with that than the issue with his kids, which I don't have. I mean, I think it's stupid for anybody to get into any campaign talking about people's kids.
And then the whole issue of John George's, which we really sort of broke on this program a few weeks ago, that's still sort of lingering out there about him getting in.
Sure. And come Labor Day, I think that we'll see whether or not he's going to, obviously, with qualifying coming up, we'll see exactly what he decides to do. My bet at this point is that, with John Bell Edwards up there, and certainly with the possibility, I should say, of at least one Republican candidate, getting close to 20% of the vote, if not 2, then I think that I don't see the room for John George's. I mean, that's just my own personal belief.
504-556-9696. And then we want to get into the presidential race, but let's squeeze in, if we can, a few calls. Richard in New Orleans is with us. Hey, Richard, welcome aboard. Good morning.
Just thank you for taking my call. First time call. I have listened a long time. I listened to, I guess you probably don't like me to name the other radio stations, but I listened to the conservative one on FM, the liberal one on FM, the new liberal one on FM, and then there's that station that is on both that doesn't seem to have a view. But so with that is just the background to ask a question.
Yes, sir.
You're talking about today the Mississippi flag, the Alabama sorority, the monuments, and all these callers. They call it all these different ideas, and everybody's having a viewpoint. And I want to ask you. I like your show. I've been listening for years. I want to ask you a question, a personal question. Have you ever, on your show, listened to a caller and then changed your mind about a position? Well, I was thinking it would be so much better if we called it listen radio instead of talk radio.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just.
Well, I mean, let me ask you this.
I hear you,
okay.
I hear you sort of stake your claim on each position.
Right.
I realize I have never heard anyone, a talk radio host, actually on the air listen to a caller and say, I just heard what you said.
Mm-hmm.
I think I heard what you said. So I was just wondering. I don't mean to make you uncomfortable. But,
well, let me ask you. I mean, do you have a position on any of these issues? I mean, you brought them up, but you didn't really articulate where you stand on them.
Well, actually, I do on each, and many of them have changed.
Okay.
You know, I think you listen and you talk to people. You open your mind instead of making your decision how you feel about it, and then just staying with that.
Well,
then batting down any other ideas rather than open your mind to say, well, hey, that's.
I'll give you an example, and I guess
I wouldn't make
okay.
any money if I created listen radio.
Yeah,
talk radio, but.
I'll say this, and I thank you for your call. I think a component of talk radio is, of course, listening. I do believe it's important to listen. I believe it's important to actually keep an open mind. And yeah, there are plenty of issues where I've taken a stance and then modified it after getting input from many times good callers, guests. But I think it's important as a host to take a stand on an issue, lay out your positions, but then get people to call in, agree, disagree. And that's why I'm so in favor of this forum, because I don't think it exists many other places in the broadcast media. And I think certainly, you know, I would hope next time you call in that you'd have a position you'd like to articulate on a topic and get it out there. And let's see what kind of impact it has on other listeners to the program. But I appreciate your call. 504-556-9696. Kenneth, welcome aboard. How you doing?
Kenneth?
Yes, sir.
Me. Yeah. Jeff?
Hey, Kenneth. How are you, sir? Good morning.
All right. I've got a few bones to pick with your friend over there, Sabludowsky.
Okay, sir.
Don't agree with him. I don't think his ancestors. I know a lot about Sabludowsky. I could be wrong, but I doubt his ancestors were here at that time when all this took place. And maybe people that weren't here really don't think about it a whole lot. But I do know, when I was at the council meeting, I do want to bring up, I forgot to tell you, Brown was there, and he did a good job, and everybody applauded.
Okay, so yeah, fill us in. So
look at old Brown, you know.
Reverend Brown was at the commission meeting speaking?
Yeah.
Okay. And
what I want to bring up about his position on that, he keeps calling this racist, and he keeps saying that these people represented slavery and all this stuff. That's the old garbage that they teach in the schools and all, but we all know that this place was full of plantations run by people of color and blacks. And a lot of them joined the Confederate Army, especially if they were mixed. They were able to join. The first group that joined was the Louisiana Native Guard, and they were all in support of the South. And as far as when the statues were erected, there was over half of New Orleans, way over half was, well, at that time, even during the Civil War, was free people of color. And we weren't there at the time, but who's to say they weren't there? Well, the erections were going up, too. I doubt they were protesting it.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as that man that called up and said we don't have an Italian monument, Beauregard's great-grandfather was Italian.
Bingo.
So
all right.
We ought to think about that. So
let me ask you, Kenneth. Kenneth, let me ask you this.
Going back to the
Kenneth,
that White League Monument. That, what do they call it again? That
Liberty Monument. Liberty Monument.
Yeah. That the history of that is that the people who are here were fed up with the federal government installing people in government that had no education, that were destroying the city and making a mockery of justice. In fact, they even prevented white people from voting at that time. And it got so bad that the people took the law in their own hands. And I think today, if people had more backbone and didn't put up with a whole lot of aggression that's happening, they were different people then, you know? You got to look at the whole history of what happened. This was after the war. Everybody was beaten down. They had carpetbaggers coming in. They had, transits, scallywags, and all these people installing the abolitionists. All these people installing people that they wanted in there that didn't have the qualifications to even run the government.
All right. With that, Kenneth, we got to roll to a break, but I want to thank you for your call. We'll get Steve's response. We'll take more of your calls. That's our friend Kenneth in Metairie. What do you say? Come join us at 504-556-9696. Jeff Crouere here. We'll be back.
Suburban Roofing and Siding, 504-861-ROOF, locally owned and operated, fully licensed, insured, and a member of the BBB, and has been re-roofing South Louisiana for over 15 years. If you have damage from the recent hailstorm, Suburban Roofing will work with your insurance company and offers customers flexible financing, 1 year same as cash, and accepts credit cards. My good friend Marty Scoggins is honest and reliable and stands behind all the Suburban Roofing's quality workmanship. Suburban Roofing skilled crews are experts in all types of roofs. Don't sign that contract. You call Suburban Roofing and Siding at 504-861-ROOF.
Hey, Steve, we have one more segment. Can you talk about the presidential race some, or is there anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, let's do that. And maybe Trump's immigration plan.
Okay. All right.
6 p.m. here on WGSO as we cover all the hot issues of the day. Obama, Harry Reid, the new Republican majority, the dysfunction in Congress, surveillance by the NSA, Iran, Afghanistan, all as we prepare for the presidential election in 2016. Listen in to our special guests from both sides of the aisle as we debate experts on issues relating to healthcare, the budget, national defense, and the U.S. Constitution. We never pull any punches, and of course, we take your calls throughout the hour, so make it a point to join us each and every Wednesday, 5 to 6 here on WGSO. See you then.
Farmers markets, neighborhood shopping, transit, the local food system, outdoor adventures, and more. Tune into All Things Local Saturday mornings at 9 as we talk to the people making it happen.
Hotel Storyville, 1261 Esplanade Avenue presents Decadence Festival Costume Party, Saturday, August 22nd, 6 to 10 p.m. Other upcoming events, September the 11th, First Responders Appreciation Day, Goodwill Gumbo and complimentary beverages all day. September 24th, 6:30 p.m. movie night featuring Casablanca.
Is looking at you, kid.
October 15th, cigar dinner, limited seating reserved early. October 23rd, 6:30 p.m. movie night featuring the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Go to hotelstoryville.net.
Tim McNally here. The Dine, Wine, and Spirit Show is daily, 3 to 5, discussing wines and restaurants and spirits right here at WGSO.
Ringside Politics with a Punch and Jeff Crouere are on the air now. Your opinion is valued. In fact, if you like your opinion, you can keep your opinion. And I know you've heard that before. You can believe that's the truth. Call Jeff Crouere now at 556-9696.
All right. I want to thank Kenneth for joining us and had some interesting input concerning the meetings and et cetera with the statues. Wanted to shift gears a little bit, Steve, if we could, for the final segment here with you and get your thoughts on a presidential race. Looking at a new poll out, Fox News and CNN both have Trump pretty much right about 24-25%. I think that's where he's pretty solidly at. And interesting that Bush is really taking a nosedive. And the poll that I saw showed Carson second. And Fiorina's increased, Cruz has increased, and seemingly Walker, Rubio not doing too well. What do you make of all that?
Well, it's early. I mean, certainly this has been, as you've heard, the summer of Trump. And so, he's getting all the coverage, TV coverage, media coverage. And I think that he'll continue to do so since he's ahead. But I think that, once he starts putting his plans out there, they'll be attractive to some. And I think others will just shake their head and just say, well, are you nuts? And so I think you'll get a lot of that, and I think that, all of us, like Richard said, I think that, we should all consider, okay, well, does this make sense? Does, does a plan, say, by Trump, does it make sense? Does he know what, I mean, since he right now is ahead, does it make sense, or is he just catering to say catering to a particular group?
Right.
So
he certainly seemed to make a splash in Iowa. I saw some of the response to him there. I mean, he's sort of a part rock star, part TV celebrity, part politician. I mean, it really is a phenomenon. And I watch these people like George Will and Charles Krauthammer. I mean, he's got some fierce critics on the right, but they don't seem to be denting pretty strong support he's got so far.
Yeah, and the CNN poll indicates that he's not climbing, but he's consolidating, is the way they put it in the polls. More Republicans are supporting him, but he's not climbing. So I think that really what they're saying is that he's pretty much has stabilized. Okay, and but we'll see. Certainly, I think that his new plan, which is the only plan so far that he's put out there, I'm glad he's put it out there. It's controversial. I just don't know how it's in any way, the plan itself doable.
Well, I will say this: when you have an expert like Jeff Sessions endorse it, that means a lot to me. I mean, I think the senator from Alabama is an expert on immigration, and he's given it a ringing endorsement. To me, that speaks volumes.
Well, he's an expert for a particular position. I mean, there are other experts out there, and not only did, as I appreciated, Sessions not only endorsed it, but he was one of the drafters of it. But that's just what I heard. So,
well, I think he got input from experts. Well, I mean, for that position, whatever. I mean, someone who certainly studies it, speaks out about the issue, seemingly proposes lots of legislation in the Senate on that issue. Is someone who I think is an expert about it. So if Trump's putting together a position, I give him credit for reaching out to Jeff Sessions.
Well, certainly give him credit. My biggest issue on that one is, how would we pay for it? And secondly, I think that, to me, I don't know how we would go and mobilize 11 million people and kick him out the country. I mean, that sounds like big government. It sounds almost like Nazism in terms of, now I understand what the counter argument is in terms of, well, these people are illegal. And I understand that. I mean, I really do. And we should not sanction illegality. Mm-hmm. But, to say, well, we're going to, kick them out.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to capture them first. And how are you going to do that? I mean, that's really problematic. I mean, again, I visualize, getting, carting up hundreds of thousands, millions of people during the World War II. And putting them on trains and sending them out. Initially, it was work camps. Initially, it was to give just send them out of Germany. So to me, I think it sends a horrible message. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying we shouldn't discuss it, because I think we should discuss it. We have a problem.
Yeah. I don't see the parallels to Nazism. I think what he's trying to do is saying, hey, if a country without a border, a country that doesn't follow the law, is a lawless country, is a country that's headed for doom. And we've got a sick country right now. And we've got a country that I think is calling out for action on this issue. And this guy has finally put forward a plan. I mean, you can criticize it. Where are the other plans? I mean, where are the other candidates on the issue? Who else has put forward a plan? I mean, I love how the critics said, oh, he's not going to last. Oh, he's not going to release his financials. Oh, he's flash in the pan. Oh, he's not saying anything specific. Well, I mean, it seems like on each one of these tests, he's passing it.
Well, not really. I mean, just putting out a plan. I mean, you know, number one, you have Rubio and others who have voted on other plans in terms of the Senate. The House didn't. So you certainly have,
What's Hillary's plan on illegal immigration, Steve?
I have no idea.
Open up the borders. Let's welcome everybody.
No,
we're talking about the front runner of the GOP. Where's the front runner of the Democratic Party? I mean, where's her plan? What's her plan for anything, Steve? I mean, for anything.
Please don't ask me about Hillary, because as you know, as I've said before, you know, I certainly don't agree with Hillary and on a lot of issues, and I don't like her as a candidate. So, you know, I'm not going to in any way defend Hillary, and I'm not going to defend either any of the candidates in the Democratic Party. I don't. Nobody has come up to, in my opinion, has come up with anything that, you know, to me at all, you know, that I would embrace. You know,
I just want to know how she's not in prison right now.
Well, I
want to know how someone who can mishandle top secret information is not prosecuted. How is that possible?
I don't know why. I mean, it's, you know, why is she not in prison now? Well, I do know that, you know, the time is not, you know, the issue is not ripe yet. Let's get the investigations going. Let's do one thing. I think you'll agree with me about this. If Gowdy's going to be asking questions, let's get him to interrogate. Let's get Congress to interrogate. Let's not get them to get out there and to grandstand. That kind of thing is unnecessary.
I mean, I think Gowdy's a serious guy. I mean, he's a former prosecutor.
Listen,
I think that's all about getting to the truth. Yeah, so
you missed my point. What I'm saying is, and I think you agreed with me before, and hopefully agree with me again, and that is that what I'm saying is that if these people in this case the House, if they will go and they will interrogate and instead of spending 2/3 of their time trying to get out there and get exposure in the media, and they ask questions like, you know, attorneys do, and like attorneys do. Wait,
let me ask you if you'll agree with me on this. Due to the fact that Justice Department has connections to Hillary, I mean, she's a former colleague, served in the same administration. Obviously, the Attorney General is an appointee of the president. Obviously, there are questions about political influence. Wouldn't you agree with me that it would be wise to appoint a special prosecutor to investigate this, to take the politics out of it, so that we can do this objectively and independently?
Yeah, the special prosecutor, yet I don't know. I do think that we should let this Senate hearing go on, and these independent investigators, you know, from the Senate and also, you know, from the other law enforcement agencies, let's see what they're able to come up with. And I mean, you know,
how could they prosecute General Petraeus for what he did with a few documents with a biographer? I think it was a calendar. I think that's what he shared with her, a calendar. When we're talking about information concerning drones and satellites and who knows what else that was exposed on a email server that wasn't secure. I mean,
because right now we don't know if anything happened at all. Okay, I don't know what evidence they came up with in terms of before they prosecuted Petraeus. But right now we don't have any evidence. Let's see what happens in September. And, you know, my recommendation is stop grandstanding, ask questions, okay, interrogate, cross-examine, okay, you know, tell the Democrats, get in there and ask the questions. You know,
the Democrats have no interest in getting to the bottom of this.
Well, you know, I'm telling both of them, you know, in my opinion, when the Republicans don't have,
they're in defense mode, Steve.
Protect
Hillary mode.
I disagree. I think that at this point, I disagree. I think at this point in time, both parties need to just take off the politics and ask questions. Let's get to the facts, okay? And if you do
Democrats opposed a committee on this issue. Democrats opposed the whole investigation, Steve. So I don't think they have any interest in really getting to the truth about any of this.
I think that if the Republicans and the Democrats, if they, like I said, I mean, you know, you're saying that the Democrats aren't going to do it. I'm telling you, so far, the Republicans are not going to grandstand in the hearing, and hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully they'll ask questions.
I just want to get about the truth. Steve, hang with us if you can a few more minutes. I'd love to try to weave in some of these calls at 504-556-9696. It's ringside right here on WGSO. Steve Sabludowsky with us. Lowell Ponte is going to also be joining us. We'll delve into Social Security. But right now at 10:30, let's get the latest from Louisiana Network News.
Louisiana Radio Network, I'm Eric Gill. The fate of the shuttered charity hospital in New Orleans should not be decided by the Jindal administration, according to State Treasurer John Kennedy. He says the building could have been used again as a hospital, even though a new facility was constructed. Kennedy says he wants to ensure the best for taxpayers and New Orleans.
I don't mean to be rude, but this is a big deal. That's a very valuable building, and we were lied to when they told us that it can't be used again.
He says the hospital's future should be determined by the next governor and legislature. Alcohol and Tobacco Control Commissioner Troy Hebert says his state-issued vehicle was stolen from his Baton Rouge home and the thief attempted to set it on fire. He adds this isn't the first time ATC has been targeted, as 6 of their vehicles were shot up outside of headquarters about 2 years ago. Hebert says state police will continue to investigate.
The last thing we want to do is to not follow through and something happen, and we will deal with it, and we have some good people working on this.
He says Alcohol and Tobacco Control has issued over 800 citations this year, so that could be a motive in these attacks. Louisiana Radio Network.
This is Secretary of State Tom Shedler. Doing business is easier than ever, thanks to GoBiz.com. It's a one-stop online portal for your business licensing needs. Visit GoBiz.com 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you'll discover we've cut through the red tape to make business owners our customers. Online, state-of-the-art services from the Secretary of State, Workforce Commission, and Department of Revenue are all at your fingertips. That's GEAUXBIZ.com. Business made easy in Louisiana.
This month marks the 10-year anniversary of Katrina, then Rita. Many first responders and Louisiana companies helped with the massive recovery efforts, and we're going to tell you some of their stories. Brought to you in part by AT&T. AT&T covers 99% of all Americans, mobilizing your world. Listen for Remembering Katrina, stories told by those who helped Louisiana recover. Remembering Katrina starts Monday, August 24th. Inspiring stories of recovery here on the Louisiana Radio Network.
Not only is he speaking easy, he's easy to speak to, and he won't cut you off. Ringside Politics with a Punch is on the air now. Give Jeff Crouere a call at 556-9696.
All right, Steve, in our final segment here, let's squeeze in a few of these calls. Steve Sabludowsky, of course, joining us on Bayoubuzz.com, on Google Hangout, also here on the airways at 990 AM, WGSO.com. For our weekly visit with Steve. Our friend Roy in Kenner's got some comments he wants to share. Hey, Roy, how are you? Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Jeff. How you making out?
All right, my friend.
Yeah, Steve, are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you trying to tell me that the Democrats want to get to the bottom of anything? They didn't want to get to the bottom of Benghazi, the IRS? I mean, you can't be serious, can you?
The point I'm making is this, okay? I mean, I don't know what the Democrats want to get to the bottom. No, I'm not saying that. No, wait, excuse me. You asked me a question. Can I speak?
Go ahead, Steve. We have limited time.
Okay.
I think Roy's right on target. I don't think they want to get to the bottom of anything, but go ahead.
Okay. Well, you know, can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I'm not saying that they want to get to the bottom of it. Okay. I'm not. What I'm saying is, I'm just saying that if you want to get to the bottom of it, okay, then ask questions. Make it like a courthouse rather than a congressional hearing. Ask questions. Have both parties ask questions instead of trying to make political points. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And I think what Roy is saying, the Democrats have shown very little interest in investigating all these scandals.
It's an election, and they may change about this. I don't think they'll have a lot of confidence in Hillary Clinton. You know, look, I have no love for Hillary Clinton at all.
Yeah.
I want to get to the truth.
I think personally, I think she's a criminal. But all right. Thank you, Roy. Let's go to Commander Farrell from the North Shore. Commander, how are you? Good morning.
Hey, Jeff. I would like to talk to the communist Democrat socialist that's on the air. I think that the Democratic Party is totally un-American. I can't think of any Democrats who are not un-American. How many people, sir, do you want to import into the country? And do you have any Mexicans or illegals cutting your grass or anything like that? So what is the figure, sir? Is it 100 million? It's 500 million. Do you want to change the country as it was founded? Do you want more Hispanics here than, say, Caucasians? What is that answer, sir? And I'll hang up and listen.
Commander Farrell.
Yeah, Jeff, I think you ought to, stand up for me sometime. Okay. I mean, calling me, a socialist, a communist. I mean, that's pretty pitiful. Okay. I mean, that really is. And let me just say this. Okay. Number one, I'm not a Democrat. I'm a no party. Secondly, okay, you must not have heard me say that that none of the Democrats, okay, appeal to me. So what is wrong with some of your callers? They want to hear what they want to hear, and they don't listen to what people say. At least they don't listen to what I say. Now,
Steve,
wait, hold on.
Hold on. Steve, hold on. Okay. You've thrown out an accusation. Let me respond. Many times on this show, I have defended you. Okay. I have you on every week. If that doesn't show defense of you, I don't know what does. Give you plenty of time. You're on hold on. You're on a long period of time. We engage in discussion and debate. I try to keep it focused on the politics. I don't want to get into personalities. We disagree on a lot of issues. On a few, we agree. You're not a communist. I don't think you're a socialist. Hold on. I personally view you as a liberal. You don't consider yourself a liberal. I view you as a liberal. That's my view. We have a different view on how you stand on the issues. I view you as liberal. I don't view you as socialist. I don't view you as communist. I view you as a patriot. I view you as someone that loves their country. I know you're trying to work for this state, this area. You're put in countless hours to improve the quality of life in this area. So I know your heart's in the right place. Every now and then we agree, and I love it, but we disagree on a lot, and I like the fact we can exchange views. I think that's the great thing about talk radio. So that's why I like having you on. We disagree on a lot of issues.
Sure.
You've got callers that agree with you. You've got callers that disagree with you. But don't get all personal about it. It's just people that disagree and are passionate as well. I've been called names today. I mean, it's part of talk radio, Steve.
Jeff, that's not my point. My point is that it seems that people will twist what I'm saying and put what I'm saying in the worst light. And that was a pretty good example. Okay. And and I just thought that it would be nice for you to say, wait, what are you talking about? A communist, a socialist, excuse me. That's not what the person I know, but let me just say, let me defend myself in terms of the content of what he said. Okay. What I said on this show is, how are you going to get and corral 12 million people? Okay, I never said that I want. I also said these people are. Well, I also said these people are illegal.
Okay,
I also said
you're saying Trump can't do what he wants to do, but you're not offering any kind of solution of what to do with all the millions of illegals that are here. It doesn't seem like you have the kind of urgency that many of us have about the problem. So I'm more in line with what Trump has articulated. I think it's a great plan. I am 100% behind it. because I think we've got a crisis in this country. You obviously disagree. That's fine.
No. Wait a minute. If I disagree with the solution, doesn't mean that I disagree with the problem.
So what's your answer, Steve?
Not my answer definitely is not to create a federal hierarchy, another major government agency that's going to intrude in everybody's lives, to find out, to check our emails, to check, everything that we do, to find out if
that's Obama, Steve.
Wait, no,
that's
that actually is how you're going to implement the Trump plan. Okay. Look,
I didn't see that in the plan.
No, of course not.
I didn't see
it.
In the plan.
But you're gonna hear it because there's no other way to get 12 million people. Let me tell you something. I know a little bit about technology, a little bit about privacy, etc. And I'm telling you that if you're going to try to corral 12 million people, there are plans out there, and I think we should discuss the plans.
All right, we've got to secure our borders. We've got to do something about a problem that's getting worse. I think he's put forward a plan. I commend him for putting forward a plan, giving us a discussion point to start with. See, we got to roll real quick. Let me just finish up with Sherry and Metairie. Sherry, real quick, want to give you a chance to chime in. Go ahead, please.
I'm calling in to defend Steve. This time, I listened to him very carefully. Let me tell you, it's very important to listen to people very carefully when they talk. I got what he was saying. I agree with him. Questions need to be asked. I do think he's a little liberal, but he's certainly no communist, certainly no socialist. So we're going to have to just...
All right. I agree with you, Sherry.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for your call. All right, Steve. Good discussion. Good discussion. All right. Thanks very much. Steve Sabludowsky